Hey guys, welcome back. If you are new here, hello, I am Kimberlyn, and today we're going to talk all about how to change your thought pattern, essentially. So how to stop thinking negative thoughts, how to kind of retrain your brain into just being more positive overall. And I wanted to touch on this because I have had so much growth in this area. If you would have asked me 5, 10 years ago, I have 4. Ooh, 4444. I have never really I never really would have considered myself to be a naturally positive person. I love being around really high energy people, really positive people. Think like yellow aura, like just really bubbly, outgoing people. I love their energy. I've always been super empathic, so I can generally take on the energy of the people I'm surrounded by. So I loved being surrounded by people who had that really confident, outgoing energy because it just like levels you up, right? Like your vibration rises with their vibration. You meet their vibration. So a few years ago, I don't remember who I was listening to or watching or what kind of sparked the idea in my mind, but I kind of hit this moment where I was like, I wonder if I could get there. Like, I think I kind of accepted, I'm a Taurus, if you didn't know, where the heck have you been? So Taurus energy, earth sign energy in general is pretty steady. So I wasn't naturally negative in the sense of I always saw the bad, like I wasn't super pessimistic or anything. I feel like I've actually always been a pretty naturally optimistic person, but it's more that it's more that it was always easier for me to fall into the negative aspect or put myself down. So that's what a lot of what I'm going to talk about today is going to be. It's just how to, one, catch yourself in that, and then how to kind of retrain your brain to think differently and more positively. And the reason that I wanted to make this video is because I'm planning on focusing a lot of this channel around, other than just tarot and astrology, manifestation, law of attraction. And the biggest thing dealing with law of attraction and manifestation is controlling your energy, being aware of your vibration, how to change your vibration and raise your vibration to meet what you're trying to manifest. So the biggest kind of hold forward track. Oh, it's a little Honda, cute. So the biggest step, I believe, in all of this, in focusing on the positive or shifting into a positive space, is just kind of expressing gratitude and just learning to practice gratitude. So find something that you can be grateful for in everything around you, whatever your situation is. I truly believe that in every situation, wherever you find yourself, learning to have the faith and trust that everything happened for you and not to you. And this will kind of tie into another perspective that I have on this, I guess, which is you are not a victim. I think that in our society, there is this aspect of life that we're kind of taught about, in that the story that's told in this picture that's painted, that you have to struggle to succeed. I just don't believe that. I think that when you subject yourself to that narrative, you're gonna struggle before you can allow yourself to succeed. And I think that that's so unnecessary. I think that everyone can be successful, and I think everybody can be successful through gratitude. Like, you're successful right now, you just have to change your perspective on how you're looking at things. You know, look back at a hard time in your life, like a past like really difficult, shitty situation or shitty job that you were in and you really didn't like, and that may have a negative place in your mind, but where did it get you? And have gratitude for that. Even if it didn't get you somewhere more positive or in what you may consider a step forward, it brought you to where you are now. And if anything, it taught you what you don't want. Same thing with bad relationships, like, because we've all had them. We have all had them. We've all had a shitty relationship. And instead of being like, yeah, that was a really shitty relationship, what did you learn? Not even in the sense of lessons, but what did you learn that you do not want, you will not accept in your life again, and then moving forward from that. Now, we're getting a little off pace here. So when I was going through the process of trying to shift my thoughts to be more positive, the first step of this is catching yourself in it. So just practicing being present, practicing your kind of self-awareness. And a perfect example that I may have even mentioned already in a previous video, but it's just one that really stuck with me. So I was working in a retail job that I really did not like. And I was going out back to check on something, and I needed to grab a couple things while I was back there, walked through the doors, grabbed what I needed to grab, started walking back out onto the floor. And I realized as I was walking back out onto the floor that I now needed to turn around and go back out back because I had forgotten something. Not that big of a deal. It's really not. But in my head, instantaneously, without me thinking about it, I was putting myself down, calling myself an idiot. Like, in my head, I'm like, you're such a fucking idiot. Why can't you do anything right? Instantly, because I forgot something and I needed to go back and get it. Like, you guys, this is not this serious. And it makes me so sad for who I used to be, because I did not deserve that kind of self-talk. Like, so catching yourself in those little things, right? So I caught myself doing that and I was like, what the heck? Where is that coming from? I need to check that real quick, because that is not gonna fly if we're trying to manifest good things and we're trying to just be a better person. How can I be a better person to someone else if I am constantly putting myself down? How am I ever going to accept any type of positive reinforcement from my loved ones, from my partner, anywhere, from a boss? Like, how am I going to accept any type of compliment or support if I am internally doing the exact opposite? So one of the biggest things that I started implementing that kind of pushed myself to the right direction with thinking more positively, and I want you guys to listen, because for me, it's so simple, but it was such a game changer. Speak to yourself as if it is a friend speaking to you. If I'm going through something, or I'm experiencing something, or I'm struggling with something, I don't judge myself. Because I wouldn't judge a friend. If a friend is coming to me about a situation, I would never judge them. I would never think negatively because they're going through something. So don't do it to yourself if you wouldn't do it to a friend. Think of yourself, you only have you, and your love and your support and your gratitude has to come from you. And I don't mean this in the way of like, you can never truly love someone until you love yourself. I think that's kind of bullshit, because I think love comes from, I think there are a lot of different types of love, but self-love has to be where it starts, and it has to be constant. And the other thing with just getting yourself out of negative thinking, because negative thinking only comes from a few places. So it's going to come from, if you're not practicing gratitude, start practicing gratitude. There's always something to be grateful for in any situation. Stop replaying negative thoughts in your head, and this will come with practicing being more present. Because when you're focusing on something in the past, you're losing moments. You're losing the right now. You're losing the right now. The other thing is, if you're just sitting there replaying old things, whether it's something that you said in the past that you wish you didn't say, or a missed opportunity, or maybe you just did something that you don't morally sit with anymore, and that's okay. Forgive yourself. Take those lessons. You don't have to brush it in the past and forget that it ever happened, but dwelling in the past negativity is not serving you at all. If anything, it's just going to bring up mixed emotions, and it's going to put you in a negative state. So then everything that you're presently acting on is coming from a negative place, and a place of hurt, and a place of doubt, and a place of self-judgment, and that's not going to get you anywhere. If we want to be manifesting and we want to be meeting these things that we're trying to call into our lives to make our lives better and happy and peaceful and full of love, you have to be coming from a place of, forgive yourself. It's not, I don't want to say it's not that serious, because I don't know who you are. But for me, I think coming from a place of, I caught myself judging myself on things that I don't even know where a lot of it came from. And I think honestly, a lot of it came from other people's opinions of me, or manipulative people putting ideas in my head, and abusive people putting thoughts in my head. So even after I've removed myself from a mentally abusive situation, I'm going to continue to mentally abuse myself. I mean, it sounds really dramatic, but like, I was really putting myself down, you guys. And you guys, I hope, are coming from a different place. I hope no one is in the same place that I was mentally, but I know that some people are. And if you are, I'm very sorry that you're in that place. And if you feel called to change your mentality, please, please, please do. It does take work and it does take time, but you will see little improvements. In my last video about all the things that I had manifested, I used an example of an encounter with an old boss where I could have easily been sucked into some negativity, and instead I recognized it, and I came from a place of where I was at presently, and I was able to keep my elevation high, keep my vibration, keep my frequency high, and then I was able to bring in a lot of great things into my life. There's a silver lining for everything. It sounds really cliche and cheesy, but it just, even if you don't see it right away, sometimes in hindsight, sometimes it doesn't come for a really long time. Even if you go through something that you think is so difficult, I think that forming that trust in yourself and the universe and the timing of your life in hand with trying to look at a silver lining or find a silver lining will get you really far. Another tricky thing with having or shifting your mentality from negative to positive is, again, going back to kind of society standards, learning to stop comparing yourself to others, or not even yourself, but learning to stop comparing your situation to someone else's situation and shifting that into, what do you really want? I years ago was finding myself feeling not worthy or not good enough because I didn't have, this type of home that someone else had, or I didn't have this kind of style that someone else had, and it made me feel less than. But then if I would have been present and took a step back and been like, well, is that even actually something that I really want? No, it's not. It's just not. So I think there's a lot to be said about just recognizing what your own values are and also celebrating other people's success. We should all be doing that, and just because someone else is succeeding doesn't mean that you're failing. And we also have to remember, and I know this has been said a million times, but social media especially is so dangerous because it is a highlight reel. It is not real life. It is what other people want to show you. Even my social media is just what I choose to show you. And I'm very vulnerable on my social media, and I'm very honest on my social media, but it's still, I choose what goes up. Right? And I'm not perfect every day. Mental health in general is such a struggle, and I'm not saying that when I changed my mindset, I've had depression for a very, very, very long time. We go way back. And I still have depression. I still struggle with depression. But my mindfulness and the ability to recognize has gotten me so far. Like the past 2 days, I'd been really struggling mental health wise, and I didn't get myself out of it magically by just being like, okay, look at the silver lining. Okay, do this, do this, do this. It doesn't work like that. Maybe it will for me someday. But I took gratitude in my ability to recognize it and know that that doesn't define me. It doesn't make me a bad person. And I say this all the time, but like, self-love is a daily practice, as is just being present. I mean, when I find myself zoning out, it's almost like a catch-22, because when I find myself not being present, when I kind of like check out a little bit, I get frustrated with myself because I'm not being present. And then I'm like, well, don't put yourself down, So it's, nobody's perfect, and it is a daily thing. So those are my biggest things. If you're looking to try to shift into a more positive space mentally, or just control your thoughts a little bit more from slipping into the negative mindset and putting yourself down and self-sabotaging and all of these things, the biggest thing is to just really try to start recognizing it. And from there, you can kind of identify where it's coming from. So for me, I know a lot of my putting myself down over literally nothing, over the tiniest things, but it would just spiral. I truly believe a lot of that was coming from a mentally abusive relationship that happened so many years ago, but my brain kind of got trained in that mindset and it got stuck there, and that's okay. That doesn't make me a bad person. It just means that I had to take a step back from that mentally and be like, okay, so what are we gonna do? Where is this coming from? And there's a lot of power in that. And gratitude really gets you so far. Having a gratitude list, or even just writing down, journaling. I'm really into journals, so I write everything down. I have a notebook in my lap because I don't want to forget anything, and I know I can kind of ramble, so I'm trying to not make every video a 30-minute video, but probably won't happen. But gratitude really does get you so far. if you can implement any one little thing into your life, start a gratitude journal, write one thing that you're grateful for every morning and at night, and make it different. When I first started getting into gratitude and trying to see if that could shift my mentality, it started with, oh, I'm grateful for my home, I'm grateful for my family, I'm grateful for my partner. But now, let me see if I can grab this. I have my gratitude list from last night, okay? We're getting really intimate today, guys. So last night, at the end of the night, I wrote down that I was grateful for my home, because I love my home. We've newly moved. Mike. I wrote down that I was grateful for Henry, my little kitty. My mind, I wrote down that I'm grateful for sunshine, for the seasons, for healing, because I'm going through a lot of healing right now. And then I also have a little blurb on the bottom where I wrote down things that I will continue and what made today a good day. And I had a really hard mental health day yesterday, you guys. So I wrote down my mindfulness and ability to be in tune with my mind and body, and I acted on how I felt instead of giving into a negative mindset. So, and then I wrote more baths because I randomly had to take a bath last night because I was in a weird funk. So I guess I'll leave you guys with that. I hope this was helpful in any way. I know how hard and how frustrating it can feel, because you can feel really stuck when you're in a negative place mentally and putting yourself down, because it spirals so easily. And I think that's why it was important for me to sit down and make this video, because starting to be more self-aware and present with my thoughts and catching myself every time I was putting myself down and just like really hurting myself more for no reason, it made me so sad. And I love myself so much now, and it's a process, but it's so worth it. You get so much self-worth. And I also think it made me a better friend and a better partner. Mike could come in right now and tell you, like, I was so hurt and I was hurting so much, and I think I was looking for validation from other people, but that's not how it should be. So I guess the biggest takeaways I hope you guys get from this is just to really, if you're not already, start practicing gratitude. It sounds really silly and it might seem a little uncomfortable or awkward, but that just means that you're growing and you're pushing yourself, and your brain is going to change, your mind can change. If you can get into that place of self-awareness, you will naturally stop replaying negative thought patterns in your head. You can do it, because that will just come with being present. If you're being present and in the moment, you're not thinking about the past, you're not thinking about the future. Going on kind of hand in hand with gratitude is just trying to find the silver lining. I personally really don't like that expression, but just having that trust in yourself and in your life, the divine timing of your life, and trusting the universe that you're being taken care of and everything is happening for you and not to you, and that you're not a victim. And I feel like a lot of this is kind of tough love in a sense, because as it's coming out, like, I realized that if somebody would have said these things to me, I would have felt a little bit like wounded. But that's your ego, you know, and getting through this and going through these changes and steps to change your mentality. It's not an overnight thing, and you will have to check your ego at times. But yeah, you're not a victim. Things are happening for you, even if it doesn't make sense right now. I've been there. I have so been there. And, you know, forgive yourself and identify where certain thought patterns are coming from. And then also just to stop comparing yourself to others, because your life is exactly what it's supposed to be. And if that means that right now you're only seeing the big negatives, then this video is for you. I challenge you to put some of this stuff into practice, because any one of these things will make a huge impact. And if you can find a way to work them all in, you're gonna get there. Everyone's different, and it's 0, 0, 0. And it's gonna take some time. And also just giving into those karmic patterns, you know, use that to your advantage. Be genuinely excited for others. Allow yourself to feel happiness. You don't have to self-sabotage in a way. I used to be such a person of like, I am not going to be happy until I get this, or until I get here, until I have this, or I have this much money in my bank account, or I'm living in this type of place, or I'm a Taurus, so I'm it can be a little materialistic. But let yourself be happy right now with where you're at, because it's getting you where you need to be. And that's all I have for you guys. I'm sorry, I feel like I'm just rambling at this point, but I really am so passionate about this because of all of the changes that I've made in my life and through my spirituality. Shifting my mindset has made me such a different person, but I feel so much more connected to who I really am. And I joke on my social media all the time, like, if you think you know who I am because you knew me 10 years ago or 5 years ago or last year, I'm constantly evolving, and everyone can. And I'm not saying that from a place of like, oh, I'm better because I'm constantly evolving. We should all be striving to grow. We should never feel complacent in who we are. I just want to be a better person than I was yesterday, and I know a lot of you feel the same way, and that's why you clicked on this video. And I hope in any way, shape, or form that any one of these tips can help you, because it's made such a difference in my life and it's gotten me to the place I am right now filming this video for you guys. So I love you all so much, and thank you again for watching, and I'll see you all very soon.